You are watching the SEC Network Game of the Week. Today from Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the Crimson Tide play host to the Catamounts of Western Carolina. The latest BCS standings are out, and Alabama right now is at number 4, still with an outside chance of making it to another national championship game. And with that, we say hello and welcome Mike Morgan alongside former SEC great and NFL wideout Chris Doering. Tuscaloosa, there has been a buzz in this town after what happened last week, a heartbreaking loss to Texas A&M. Chris Doering, I think the question everybody wants to know, what is the psyche of this team right now?
Well, I think obviously they're disappointed in that loss, but also strangely refocused. This was a team that got away from their principles of focusing on the details, got a little bit overwhelmed by the fact they were number 1 in the country, 9-0. Nick Saban told us we got to get back to doing the little things correctly, and they're going to focus on those details today against Western Carolina.
Alabama running out onto the field here at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Another good crowd expected. And when you talk about this Alabama offense, Chris, the passing game has been very solid this year behind A.J. McCarron, but clearly they do most of their damage with that 1-2 punch on the ground. Yeah,
Alabama under Nick Saban is going to always be about running the football. They love the power game, and they're doing it this year, much like other SEC teams are doing it with 2 backs. Right there, the freshman T.J. Yeldon, a little bit more of the wiggle guy on the outside. Then you have Eddie Lacy as a guy that more between the tackles, a powerful runner. Both of these guys are extremely good physical runners. Look for them to have big days today against Western Carolina.
Well, the lasting memory from the loss to Texas A&M, of course, was the A.J. McCarron interception in the end zone. Typically, a quarterback is going to shoulder the blame for that, but a closer look tells us there was a lot more to that play.
Yeah, being able to successfully throw the football is about route distribution and field spacing. Here on second down of that final series, they're high-lowing the middle of the field. Kenny Bell's supposed to run a shallow cross. Tight end Michael Williams is running the basic cross. But as you see Kenny Bell get pushed too far to the middle of the field, you have 3 receivers ultimately bunched up in the same portion of the end zone, and A.J. McCarron unable to throw the football. Coming back on 4th down, Doug Nussmeier gets exactly what he wants. Man coverage on Bell here. He's going to motion over to the stack formation. His motion gets too wide because Christian Jones is supposed to run a hitch to get a rub on his guy. Cooper's supposed to run the corner, and then you have Bell in the flat. But as Cooper runs, he gets too far to the outside. There's no distribution there, and ultimately one guy able to play both receivers and pick the football off.
A.J. McCarron looking to bounce back from last week. For more on the Alabama defense, let's check in with a third member of our broadcasting team, Jill Montgomery.
Mike, thanks. Coach Saban told me right before the game that this defense has to execute better. One of those leaders on defense, linebacker Nico Johnson, echoed that sentiment yesterday, but he told me specifically they have got to get off the field on 3rd downs. He said they've got to be better in the pass rush, they've got to cover better, and they've got to have better overall technique. He said he's looking very forward to seeing how this team responds today, and you can be certain he's not the only one.
All right, Jill, thank you so much. That Alabama defense has been humbled a bit the last 2 weeks. Today's weather, 56 degrees and climbing, slight breeze in the air. Sunny day here in Alabama. Should be a beautiful day for football in November. The Crimson Tide taking on an FCS opponent, Western Carolina, from the Southern Conference. But again, the story right now is Alabama getting back to playing Nick Saban football. Nick Saban now in his 6th year with the Crimson Tide, a couple of national titles, 59 wins and 13 losses. He was very intense in our meetings. He was very intense in the coaching show this week that he wants to get back to the fundamentals, get back to playing Alabama football. And then there's Western Carolina, the Catamounts. Let's face it, they're going to be a heavy underdog in this one. They come in, they're excited, led by head coach Mark Spear in his first year with the program after spending many years as an assistant at Appalachian State, one of the premier programs at the FCS level. And he's looking forward to seeing what his team can do against one of the very best in all of college football. Alabama will get the football first. And we are underway here in Tuscaloosa. A squib kick to start things off. Fair caught at the 34-yard line. And that's where things will get started. 1st and 10 for that Alabama offense led by that man, A.J. McCarron. Hadn't thrown a pick all year long, through 2 last week against Texas A&M. But all in all, he's had an all-SEC type season.
Five-yard penalty tacked on to the end of the run. 1st down.
Now an extra 5 yards of real estate for Alabama on offense after the penalty. Chris, what should we look for right off the bat from this Alabama team? Obviously, it's an opponent that they should defeat heavily, but it seems like they're focusing more on not just winning the game, but how they execute.
It is. It's about proper execution. Last week, both offensively and defensively, you had misalignments, you had missed assignments, something that really is very uncharacteristic of a offense and a defense that's coached by Nick Saban. Look for them to get back to doing the little things correctly and having some success in all three phases this afternoon.
On first down, in the flat to Amari Cooper, the talented freshman out of South Florida, and that'll move the chains. Impact players for today's game.
Take a look at the impact players for the offense here, Alabama. Eddie Lacy, the junior running back we talked about in the open. Kevin Norwood at wide receiver. C.J. Mosley, the heart and soul of this defense. And D. Milner, the best cover corner on this Alabama roster.
Alabama incredibly balanced all year long, running and passing nearly a 50-50 ratio. They'll run it here. Off the right side, it's Lacy. Lowering the shoulder and staggering forward out of bounds. Give him 6 yards. It'll set up a 2nd down and 4. This Crimson Tide offense 4th in the Southeastern Conference in yards, 3rd in scoring. Back to the ground game. And it's more of number 42, Eddie Lacy. Tripped up by Rock Williams, but not before a 1st down.
Take a look here. It's actually Cortland Carson that made the stop. Does a good job of stepping up in the hole and just getting enough of Eddie Lacy's shoestrings there to bring him down, but not before able to pick up the 1st down. That could have been a much bigger gain for Alabama there had Cortland Carson not made that tackle.
Lacy, the lone back on 1st down. McCarron, wide open target at the 25. And they'll mark him out of bounds. Amari Cooper out of bounds at about the 1-yard line, a 36-yard hookup.
This is a play that Alabama runs an awful lot. Didn't hit it very well last week, but this time Amari Cooper wide open on the over route there. The play action passing game is where the big plays come from in the passing game for Alabama because of the success they have running the football. Defenses have to get an extra safety down in the box. That time Cooper wide open for a big gain.
And they might take another look at this one.
Previous ruling of the player out of bounds at the 1 is under further review.
Yeah, Mike, I wasn't so sure that he didn't get in prior to stepping out of bounds. It looked like Amari Cooper, as you see him catch the ball here on the over route, does a good job of trying to extend the ball inside the pylon before stepping out of bounds. See if we can get a closer look at that foot on the sideline. How wide open is Cooper there on that over route?
You can see the right foot hits out of bounds, but where is the ball before that point?
A.J. McCarron thought it was a touchdown there. Certainly there's enough doubt to review that play there.
Replay official today is Robert Ruggio. Had a chance to
ruling on the field is confirmed. 1st down.
Chat with him before the game, and you see the right foot. It's where that right foot, where the football is when that right foot hits out of bounds, and looks like a good call. So Alabama will set it up inside the 1-yard line. In the red zone this year, Alabama 42 drives and 30 touchdowns. Our Verizon Wireless red zone numbers brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Fumble, and McCarron pounces on it. He was looking to hand it off to Lacy, but looked like the signals might have been crossed.
That's not the first time we've seen them struggle down in this area, as McCarron looks like he just lost the handle on it prior to putting the ball in Lacey's stomach there. But you remember back to that LSU game, a crucial turnover down around the goal line when TJ Yeldon put the ball in the ground. So something that this offensive staff certainly has focused on doing better, and that's red zone efficiency.
Backs him up to the 7 now on 2nd and goal. Lacey behind the left side. Touchdown, Alabama. Tenth rushing touchdown of the year, the 23rd rushing touchdown of his career.
Take a look at the front side zone play there as that offensive line gets an incredible push. Lacey able to get the ball across the goal line before the knee touches down. I expect to see a lot of that domination on the front line today by Alabama.
Jeremy Shelley, who has been perfect on field goals and extra points, and that remains intact. Alabama gets the opening kickoff and marches down the field. 7-0 our score. Eddie Lacy finds the end zone first. Alabama out to an early 7-0 lead on a 6-play drive, 62 yards, 2:54 off the clock, and Eddie Lacy, who has been no stranger to the end zone in his career, his 23rd career rushing touchdown. Now we'll get our first look at the Western Carolina offense. This is Martinez. And Martinez takes it out to the 22-yard line. Another look at the last Alabama score.
Yeah, we talked about the big push, but the block right here that's key is securing the end and working up to the next level by the tight end, Michael Williams. He allows his big tackle to get out there, and you see Williams blocking ahead of Lacey, getting enough push to get Lacey in for the touchdown.
Western Carolina 1-9 on the year, 0-8 in the Southern Conference, but they are high on this man, Troy Mitchell, their starting quarterback. He's just a freshman out of Houston, Texas. Handoff on first down, and Johnson goes nowhere. Alabama firing through the holes and getting in the backfield. Clinton Dix, one of the first men to meet him.
A lot of what you'll see today is similar to the runs from last week in Texas A&M. They run a lot of similar spread type principles, and one of the things that Alabama wanted to do today was to get some penetration, get some push in there and disrupt the backfield.
Today's 1st and 10 line brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Pass in the flat to Johnson on 2nd down. Not much running room. Gets back to around the original line of scrimmage. Clinton Dix escorts him out of bounds.
Mike, this is a key portion of the game for Kirby Smart's defense. It's 3rd down efficiency. Very poor the last couple weeks. They gave up 55% of the attempts to LSU and to Texas A&M last week. Trying to shore that up. That's something that typically they've been very good at, but really lost focus with some of that assignment and alignment stuff we talked about earlier.
4-man rush on 3rd and 12. Trying to find some daylight is Mitchell. He gobbles up about 9, but that'll be well shy of the marker.
Take a look at the quarterback, Troy Mitchell, here on the design keeper there. That's something that Alabama's defense saw a lot of, probably far more than they wanted to see last week by Johnny Manziel. One of the interesting things when you have a mobile quarterback like you do today in Mitchell is that you have to have some mush rush, as Nick Saban described it. You're not necessarily trying to sack the quarterback, but provide some push and be able to get off a block to make a tackle when the quarterback does decide to keep the ball.
Jones picks it up on a hop. Fires through. Breaks one ankle tackle and was maybe one more away from taking it the distance. A 27-yard return. Carson saved a touchdown for the Catamounts.
You look at Christian Jones picking it up off the bounce. Has a nice seam directly on the middle. Almost breaks it here, and that's something to look forward to today. I know it's a point of emphasis. They've been very close the last couple of weeks with Christian Jones and Cyrus Jones trying to return these kickoffs and punts. And I know this would make Nick Saban very happy to get a special team score this afternoon.
We saw Eddie Lacy, the veteran on the first drive. Now the talented freshman, T.J. Yeldon, back deep behind McCarron. They fake it to him. McCarron cocks and fires complete near the 25-yard line. First down for Alabama. A 21-yard hookup to the tight end, Michael Williams.
Mike, that's what makes A.J. McCarron such a good manager of the game. He wanted the deep throw, as you see the post route down the middle to Amari Cooper, but decides to come back to the crossing route. Has his big tight end, Michael Williams, wide open on the sideline. Doesn't get greedy, takes what the defense allows them to have, and ultimately, as he told us, you take what the defense gives you, you're ultimately going to win the football game.
On first down, it's Yeldon. Breaks one tackle. And finally, gang tackled after a pickup of about 4. T.J. Yeldon is a young man. They've had some great running backs come through Tuscaloosa. He's going to be one of the best.
He's a very talented young man, a true freshman that's played in some big ball games already in his Alabama career. I asked Coach Nussmeier, are you concerned the fact that he's fumbled the ball 3 times in the last 2 ball games? He said, no, that goes along with the growing process. His upside is very, very high. And once he gets past some of these early mistakes he's making in his career, he's going to be an outstanding player for this Alabama program.
Here he is again. Spin move at the 10 and down inside the 5-yard line. Rock Williams takes him to the turf, but a beautiful 15-yard scamper by the freshman.
How about the move by Yeldon here as he gets to the corner? Has Martinez there set up to make the tackle, but gives the old okey-doke spin move like you see in the video game. Very nearly gets into the end zone for the second rushing touchdown of the day.
100-yard rushers under Nick Saban. Richardson all time with 13. Yeldon had one in his first game against Michigan at the beginning of the year. On first and goal, Yeldon surging, touchdown Alabama. 10th touchdown of the year for the talented freshman out of Daphne, Alabama.
And there's your 1-2 punch right there. Yeldon getting his opportunity to get in the end zone. It's amazing how balanced the statistics are for both of these running backs, as Lacy and Yeldon have really shouldered the load for this rushing game of Alabama's offense the entire season.
Shelley, the senior, up for the Lou Groza Award. Knocks it through to make it 14-0. Alabama making it look easy early on. McCarron setting it up with the pass. And then the 2 talented backs. First Lacy, and here's Yeldon. Well, if there's any question whether or not Alabama would come out flat for this one, the answer would be a resounding no. 14-0 after a 4-play drive, 44 yards, a minute 56 off the clock. This time it's T.J. Yeldon, the freshman, getting into the end zone, and so far so good for the Crimson Tide.
I never thought I'd say that Alabama's offense looks like Oregon, but 2 quick drives here to get them up 14-0. Much different from what we normally expect from this Crimson Tide offense.
Yeah, not nearly as swanky uniforms, but there's nothing wrong with old school Alabama. Synonymous with excellence, and those uniforms not hard to identify with. Martinez and Warren back to receive the kickoff from Foster. Booming kick. And the Catamounts will wisely take a knee and take it at the 25. Make sure you join us at halftime as we announce this week's winner of the Honda Generators Tailgate Giveaway. Each week we'll be awarding a brand new Honda EU 2000i generator to the fan with the best tailgate. Simply send us video or pictures showing how you tailgate for your chance to win. Log on to ESPNplus.com for more details on how to enter. With Chris Doring, I'm Mike Morgan. Joe Montgomery patrolling the sidelines for us today. Alabama now ranked number 4 and still hoping for a little bit of help nationally to get back to the national championship game. Johnson is the back. Mitchell keeps it and picks up about a yard. So what do we know about Western Carolina, the Catamounts? Well, they're from the Southern Conference, which many people will tell you is the SEC of the FCS level, the most powerful and successful conference at that level. They're located in beautiful Cullowhee, North Carolina. Founded in 1889, an enrollment of just under 10,000. They actually made the national title game at what was once called the 1AA level back in 1983. They've hit some hard times the last couple of decades, but they've got some new people in charge, and they believe they can make another run. Johnson trying to find daylight. That's not easy to do against this Alabama defense.
Nice job by Adrian Hubbard, number 42, of getting some penetration in the backfield. Can't quite make the tackle, but you got Vinny Sinceri coming up from the safety spot to hold that run to a very minimal gain for Western Carolina.
42, Adrian Hubbard is a guy, just a sophomore, they believe in time can be one of the next great pass rushers in Alabama. He's still got some maturing to do, but 6'6", nearly 250 pounds. Third and 9. Swing pass. No chance for Michael Johnson. Met quickly by Sinceri and a couple of other defenders, including Ed Stinson, number 49.
Troy Mitchell didn't have a lot of options here as he had the blitz coming from the left side. Has to dump it out to the swing route. And really not much running room for the receiver there as Alabama gang tackles on the sideline, forcing another Western Carolina punt.
Jones back to receive. And as you mentioned, Chris, they've been flirting with the deep return, long return. They just haven't quite gotten there yet. Perhaps today is the day. Fair catch called for. He's bobbled out of bounds at the 38-yard line as we check in with Jill Montgomery.
Thanks, Mike. Barrett Jones has been more like a decathlete for this Alabama offense. Last year, he was at left tackle, and before that, he even played guard. And his teammate Chance Warmack told me yesterday he's blown away by Barrett's ability and asked him what his favorite position is. Barrett replied he doesn't have one anymore, and he's just going to go play wherever Coach Saban needs him.
It's really amazing what he has done. He has been a starting center, tackle, and guard, and he's been good at all three, the Outland Trophy winner from a year ago. McCarron out of the gun on first down. Sets in the pocket, fires over the middle, complete. Down to the 28-yard line is Kenny Bell. 34 yards.
Kenny Bell is running the inside route against this cover 2 zone, able to find the soft spot as they pick on the safety on the right hash there. He's got to make a decision whether to go with Michael Williams down the sideline or take the receiver Bell over the middle. Easy throw for A.J. McCarron.
Lacey cuts back, still on his feet, inside the 10, and finally dragged down by Trevor Taylor. 20 yards.
Take a look at Lacey right there. He's going to be the guy getting the ball on the wide side stretch to the right side of the field. Gets to that second level, and there you see a little bit of that nifty running. I said it was Yeldon that had a little bit more wiggle, but right there, Lacey letting it be known he can make a little shake in the secondary.
Lacey already with one score, flirting with another. They feed him. Lacey, touchdown. 7 yards and barely touched.
Another straight-ahead run play for Eddie Lacey. And again, that offensive line of Alabama able to get a push that you and I could probably run behind right there.
I know this much. Lacey and Yeldon have got to be saying, wow, we haven't seen holes like this in a while. A little harder to come by against LSU and Texas A&M. Shelley splits the uprights. Alabama 21-0. A heavy dose of number 42. Fourth-ranked Alabama now leading Western Carolina 21-0. Another quick drive, just 3 plays, 62 yards. Eddie Lacey capping it with a 7-yard touchdown run, his second score. Alabama has 3 touchdown drives, none of which have gone more than 6 plays. If you're Western Carolina, you want to know what the other side of the 50 looks like. Maybe a good return here.
How about the other side of the first down marker?
Martinez and Warren back to receive. Warren bobbles and takes a knee. Well, last week it was a draining game here in Tuscaloosa. Number 1 Alabama facing 15th ranked Texas A&M. Johnny Manziel put on another show, shocking the Tide early. He was on a roll, running and passing. Alabama was trailing at 20-0. Watch this play by Manziel. Juggles it, collects, and fires the touchdown pass to Ryan Swope. But then Alabama would make a run. Down 29-17. McCarron hitting Amari Cooper down the sideline for 54 yards. And we got ourselves a ball game. It came down to this final play on 4th and goal. McCarron trying the pass to the right side, and DeShaver Everett of Texas A&M picks it off to seal the upset. One of the games of the year in college football. Mitchell running for his life. And give him credit, picks up positive yardage. An 8-yard scamper. So with the loss, this is how the BCS now looks. Again, you got the 3 undefeateds. And SEC fans, don't get your hopes up if they stay undefeated. Somebody's got to lose here. You need a couple of those teams to get in the national championship game. K-State still has Baylor, then Texas. Oregon's got Stanford. Notre Dame eventually will play Southern Cal. Southern Cal could be the key to an SEC team getting in that big game, because they play Notre Dame and potentially a rematch with Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. Meanwhile, for Alabama, they want to make it back to Atlanta for the SEC championship game. They've got the inside track, Chris.
Yeah, they got the game next week against Auburn. Obviously, they control their own destiny, but Texas A&M hoping that some things happen as well. Bama would have to lose to Auburn and LSU, and then Ole Miss would have to beat LSU there as well. So I think Auburn obviously is going to be the key game next week for Alabama. I don't imagine that they're going to lose that football game to the Tigers, but weirder things have happened.
Auburn yet to win a game in the Southeastern Conference. What has happened on the Plains this year? Catamounts 0 of 2 on 3rd down. It's Ramsey, and it looks like he's got it. Took a pop in the process.
Ramsey looks like he's got a hole up the middle right at first, but then you see the big linebacker C.J. Mosley come in there and fill that hole rather quickly, but not before Ramsey's able to pick up the first down of the afternoon for Western Carolina.
Kirby Smart told us that man, C.J. Mosley, easily our best defensive player. He's been playing 80% of the snaps, though. They've been trying to get him a breather from time to time. Ramsey stonewalled right near the line of scrimmage. Duvall, one of the first men to meet him.
Tough sledding up front for that offensive line of Western Carolina. We talk about how physical this Alabama defense is. They recruit to go against offensive lines like the SEC. Nothing like what they're seeing today against the Southern Conference's Western Carolina offensive line. So I don't know if we'll see much push up front. They're going to have to get the ball to the outside and try to use a little bit of the speed that guys like Troy Mitchell and Darius Ramsey have.
Mitchell fires complete. That'll move the chains and some good running room for Garrett Brown, the sophomore out of Asheville, North Carolina. A pickup of 28.
Mike, if there's one place that this defense has struggled, it's in the secondary. Very thin back there, and particularly in the slot. You see Sinceri trying to cover the slot wide receiver here as a nice play by Garrett Brown, able to catch the football and get up the field. They're trying to develop another nickel guy that can go inside and cover a little bit better. D. Milner actually was even asked to do that last week, but really a place of weakness for this Alabama defense.
Blitz coming on first down. Look out. Mitchell goes down. Vinny Sinceri, who's been in the backfield a couple of times, on the sack here.
And that's how you utilize the strengths of Vinny Sinceri. Not as good covering in the slot, but certainly his blitzing ability, as we've seen all year long, has a great feel for timing that up. And that time the pressure ultimately made the quarterback, Troy Mitchell, go down in the backfield.
And it looks like Western Carolina is content to let the clock run out here for the first quarter. A first quarter which was thoroughly dominated by the fourth-ranked team in America, the Crimson Tide of Alabama, 21-0. But Western Carolina right now putting together its best drive of the day. Crimson Tide 21, the Catamounts nothing. Alabama trying to get back in the flow and dominating the game thus far. Thanks, Dari. Obviously, it's not been the year that Arkansas had imagined. Tyler Wilson has been picking it up of late. Alabama certainly picking it up early in the first quarter of this game. 3 scoring drives in the blink of an eye. Alabama leading at 21-0. Western Carolina with its best drive of the day. This will be the 7th play. Vaughn sticks his nose in the pile, maybe a yard, as we take a look at our shelter insurance first quarter statistics, and as you would imagine, dominated by Alabama.
Yeah, look at that yards per play for Alabama. 12.9 there, 7 first downs, able to have their way running the football and throwing the football. I imagine we'll see much of the same throughout the afternoon as we work our way into the second string, and ultimately some of the third and fourth string guys having an opportunity today.
A third down and long here. 3rd and 16 to be exact for the Catamounts. Bama rushing 4. And Mitchell tucks it and runs about a yard. Jesse Williams on the nose on the stop from Australia. One of just 4 Aussies that are not a punter playing Division I football.
How about Jesse Williams, too? A lot of people got excited about him in the offseason as he was a YouTube sensation, benching 600 pounds there. He's an absolute beast, a guy that really has filled that role that's necessary in this 3-4 defense. Obviously, Alabama very multiple these days with a lot of 4-down fronts, but he's a prototypical nose guard in a 3-4 set for Alabama.
Yeah, at 6'4", 320, he can plug some holes. Jones lets it bounce. And nice job by the Catamounts. Perfect execution, downing it at the 1 after a 42-yard punt. As we go around the SEC, Chris, how about the top newcomers this year?
It's kind of surprising how much success some of these young guys have had, led by Johnny Manziel, a guy that this Alabama crowd saw a lot of last week. Leads the conference in rushing, number 3 in passing, an ultimate dual threat guy. TJ Yeldon here, obviously We know what he did with that big screen pass against LSU to win that football game. And then Todd Gurley, one of 2 freshman running backs, Keith Marshall being the other for Georgia. Those guys have had a tremendous impact in just their first year on campus.
T.J. Yeldon already a touchdown today, and in the backfield here. McCarron on the hard count. Hands off to Yeldon for a pickup of about 4.
I like the fact that McCarron went with the hard count there. You have a big gain to loss ratio. If they jump off sides, you get 5 yards. If you jump off sides, you only lose about a half a yard.
Right.
So nice job by the quarterback in using that hard count. Almost gets Western Carolina off sides. They're able to get back before the snap. But I like the way that junior quarterback using some of the little things to try to draw the opposition off sides.
On second down, they run it wide. Yeldon. Tap dances for a while before Eric Banford brings him to the turf after a 4-yard pickup.
Yeldon has been a guy that from the get-go, as you mentioned, Michigan, he had a touchdown in his first game as a collegiate player. Really has not slowed down the entire year. It's amazing how much trust Nick Saban has for some of these young players, specifically T.J. Yeldon, the fact that he's willing to put the ball in his hands in crucial situations, and for the most part, he's certainly delivered.
Had the big touchdown to defeat LSU just a couple of weeks ago. Alabama looking at a 3rd and 2. Again, it's Yeldon, gaping hole behind the right side of that line, and Yeldon knows what to do with it. 15 yards and a first down.
Take a look away as the right side of the offensive line just pushes that front 4 of Western Carolina back into the secondary about 10 yards, blowing them off the line and creating a nice alleyway for Yeldon to get up the field and pick up another first down.
McCarron on play action. Has all day. McCarron now says, I'll run it. He's got a lead blocker. He's still on his feet. And tiptoes out of bounds near midfield. He was trying to stay behind Anthony Steen, his right guard. And he goes for 24.
I think that's something that surprises most college football fans. We think of A.J. McCarron as being more of a pocket passer, a guy that drops back, but when there's no option, he's able to tuck the ball, gets on the sideline. Look at him using his big offensive line there. Pushes Anthony Steen to the ground. Get out of my way, big guy. Go block somebody.
Steen
pushes him right to the ground.
Steen was huffing and puffing. That play took so long, he was out of gas. McCarron, quick strike. And a nice job of pursuit. Amari Cooper catches it, but he'll actually lose a couple. Cortland Carson, the outside linebacker, on the stop.
That's about the second time you've called his name today. Cortland Carson did a good job on the bubble screen of reading it, getting up the field and making the tackle. That's a tough matchup for a linebacker on a guy like Amari Cooper with all the speed and athletic ability he possesses.
Yeldon. Ankle tackle by Harris, but not before a 10-yard scamper.
Mike, you get the sense that Alabama's just a play away from breaking one of those long ones. Several times today we've seen Western Carolina able to make a shoestring tackle in the second level. But again, a nice lane for Yeldon to run through. Western Carolina able to make the stop and force 3rd down. But one of these downs, you're going to see Alabama break one for a long touchdown.
Kind of like a volcano waiting to erupt.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when. Lacey now in the backfield on 3rd and 2. They feed him. First down. Gains 5. Gains 10. And finally knocked out of bounds by Ace Clark after 15 yards.
How about a you're Western Carolina's defense, you got a heavy dose of Yeldon now. The big fella, Eddie Lacy, getting on the outside. Very difficult to stop as they keep these guys fresh, rolling them in there against this fatigued and undermanned Western Carolina defense.
Lacy already was 61 yards on the ground. 8th play of the drive for the Crimson Tide. McCarron wide open, caught, touchdown. Christian Jones from 29 yards.
Nice job by McCarron coming back to the backside as the freshman Sertonius Harris gets lost. And Christian Jones able to make an easy catch in the end zone for the 4th touchdown of the afternoon for Alabama.
Shelley back on. Out of the hold of the quarterback, A.J. McCarron. An 8-play, 99-yard drive. A.J. McCarron. They set it up with the run, and they get the score through the air. Today's SEC Network game is brought to you by Tostitos. Tostitos knows how to party. Regions Bank, proud sponsor of the SEC. Honda Generators. Enter the Honda Generators tailgate giveaway for your chance to win a new Honda generator. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Beautiful sights on campus, including Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama leading Western Carolina 28-0 about midway through the second quarter. Alabama trying to pick up victory number 10 on the year. Another impressive scoring drive for the Crimson Tide, who actually started that drive off inside their own 1-yard line. Foster bangs it. Returnable for Warren. Bounces outside. And a nice return to the 27. Now A.J. McCarron, that last touchdown pass moves him ahead of Greg McElroy, fine quarterback for Alabama just a few years ago. He's one behind Brody Croyle, and he's got his crosshairs on John Parker Wilson, who had 47. Now keep in mind, Alabama still has Auburn next week, potentially an SEC championship game, and then a bowl game after that. So he's got 3 more games after this one where he can break that record, and that's some pretty good company to be in.
Yeah, you look at some of the names on that list, some impressive careers for each of those guys. But McCarron, remember, he's only a junior. This guy is going to be back next year most likely and has an opportunity to really separate themselves from those guys in career numbers.
Pass floats out of bounds from Mitchell. Today's 1st and 10 line is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Today's 1st and 10 line brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. 2nd down and 10 for the Catamounts. Bama rushing 4. Mitchell. Boy, you're going to see a lot of that. Mitchell not seeing anybody open. Tucks the ball, runs ahead, just running for his life, essentially.
Yeah, the game's got to be happening pretty fast for the freshman Troy Mitchell. We know he's a tremendous athlete, but he's never faced an athletic, strong defense like he's facing today in Alabama. This kid, Troy Mitchell, though, he was the runner-up for Player of the Year his senior year in high school in the city of Houston. We know what kind of talent they have down there, so that's just a compliment to the athletic ability of Troy Mitchell. A lot of other schools wanted to have him play defensive back. He went to Western Carolina because he wanted to play quarterback.
3rd and 8. Down the sideline. He juggled it and could not get the foot down in bounds. Maintaining control was Alexander, who actually had a step on his man.
Had a step on his man, but how about the throw by Troy Mitchell? Did a good job of dropping it in over his shoulder. Let's take a look at the replay here. The receiver, Alexander, didn't leave a lot of room, but nice job of sticking the hand out there. Didn't quite make it stick the first time, and the bobble is what ultimately cost them the reception.
He was working one-on-one with the All-American D. Milner on that play. One thing Kirby Smart told us this week, he said we have to do a better job of covering people. Jones signals for the fair catch at the 28. Alabama back on offense, ready to go to work when we return.
To Bryant-Denny Stadium, where Alabama is leading Western Carolina 28-0. Nick Saban is never shy about telling people about his players, and it was no different the other night at his radio show. He was being very colorful when the mic was given to 8-year-old Sean Corey. He asked Coach, "What's your favorite part about coaching?" It caught Coach Saban off guard so much he was speechless. After he caught himself, he told Sean all the positive things about being part of a team, asked him if he liked football, and then said, "Hey, I think I might want you to play for me someday."
And who knows, Jill, that might be the case for Sean Corey one day. Sims in at quarterback, Lacey in at tailback, and puts on another dazzling display on that run. Good for 20 yards.
Lacey looked nimble right there, didn't he? Nice job of getting up the middle of the offensive line. Gets to the second level. A little twirl move. Saw Yeldon use that earlier. Figured he'd implement that into his repertoire and got the offense up around the 50-yard line.
Sims, the sophomore quarterback, keeps it here. Speaking of nifty running, firing through for about 10 on the first down before Rock Williams stops him. Now, Alabama today doesn't get much more efficient than this. They haven't reached 9 plays in a drive. They haven't had to. Every touchdown drive, 8 plays or less, including 2 under 5 plays.
They've only reached third down twice today, and
right.
They were able to convert both of those. You look at the staggering offensive numbers here. Obviously, a mismatch in terms of talent, but all you can do is go out and focus on your job and execute, and this offense for Alabama certainly done that so far today.
Handoff. More of Eddie Lacey. Another gaping hole up the middle as he weaves his way for 15 more.
Here you see a little different repertoire with Sims at the quarterback spot. You got the zone read as he gives the ball to Lacey up the middle, but what Sims brings you is a little bit different than what McCarron has in terms of characteristics in the pocket. Sims a much more agile runner, so look for him to keep the ball some of those zone read situations this afternoon.
Play action. Sims rifles right on target. First down to Marvin Shin for 13.
How about Sims coming off the bench looking good? You see the play fake to the left side, keeps it on the naked boot. Has the down flat open, but figured he'd take the deeper throw on the comeback to the sideline. As you mentioned, nice throw there, and Shin does a good job of securing the catch.
From the 12. Sims keeps it, lowers the shoulder, pounds ahead, close to another first down. Sedgren on the stop, but he absorbed the blow there from Sims. We'd like to recognize our friends at Allstate for their charitable contributions across the country. Since 2005, Allstate has donated more than $2.9 million through the Good Hands Field Goal Net program to benefit University General Scholarship Funds. Second down in the yard. Lacey, not this time. Just powering ahead. Nice pursuit by the right side of that defensive line, including Bevins Robbs and Eric Banford.
A little resiliency there from The Western Carolina defense did a good job of penetrating up the middle of that offensive line for Alabama and able to stop Lacey short of the first down marker here. Only the third down they've had this afternoon.
You got big old Jesse Williams in the backfield, a lead blocker for Lacey. They feed him. Lacey breaks a tackle and will coast to the end zone. Third touchdown for the junior Eddie Lacey as he's flirting with his 5th career 100-yard game.
Mike, I never had the opportunity to run the football from the backfield in college, but doesn't get much easier than this for Lacey as he breaks the initial tackle, and once he gets to the outside, nobody there. You talked about big Jesse Williams. He sealed off the edge, and it was wide open for Lacey into the end zone.
Shelley remains perfect on the season. Eddie Lacey having perhaps a career day in the first half. 35-0 our score. It's been all Alabama, 35-0 with 3:02 remaining in the first half of play. The Crimson Tide ranked number 4 in the nation and looking to rack up win number 10 on the season, which has almost become commonplace under head coach Nick Saban, who since taking the job in 2007 has made Alabama a national championship contender virtually every year. Short kick to Warren. And Warren is lassoed down at the 14-yard line. Ranzel Watkins on the tackle. Basketball fans, don't miss one of the premier preseason college basketball tournaments. Come see the 7th annual Old Spice Classic Thanksgiving weekend featuring Vanderbilt, West Virginia, Gonzaga, Clemson, and more at the Wide World of Sports Complex in sunny Orlando, Florida. For more information, visit oldspiceclassic.com today. Great time of year if you love college football and college basketball. We got them both going on for you.
Got some tournament action all week long in the NCAA basketball, and then some season-ending football here down the stretch with some exciting games in the next couple weeks.
Alabama's program in basketball looking awfully good under the direction of Anthony Grant. Mitchell keeps it on first down and gobbles up 5. There's Mark Spear, the head coach for Western Carolina. Ties to Clemson and Appalachian State, one of the premier programs at the FCS level. He was actually an assistant coach when they upset Michigan, top 10 Michigan, a few years ago. And a penalty flag, one of the rare ones in this first half.
Prior to the snap, false start, 64 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
So 2nd down and 10 for the Catamounts. Under 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Bama showing blitz. They bring it. And a solid run by Michael Johnson, who powers ahead for 6.
Nice job by the senior running back that time, lowering the shoulder, running through the tackle there to pick up some good yardage. A 3rd and 5 situation, a much more manageable opportunity for Western Carolina than what they faced most of the day on 3rd down.
Coming up on the C Spire halftime report, 4 ranked SEC teams in action. Can an SEC team still win it all? And the legend of Johnny Football. Third down. Mitchell just throws it away. He had Damian Square breathing down his neck. A senior out of Houston, Texas, who originally committed to Dennis Franchione at Texas A&M before changing course and making it to Tuscaloosa.
A lot of pressure there from the big guy. 6'3", 285 pounds, was relentless in his pursuit of Troy Mitchell. Mitchell had no choice but to throw that ball into the stands.
Jones back to receive the punt. Seacrest, heavy rush, and he gets pummeled. Penalty flag on the play. Jones has it slip out of his hands. Free football and recovered by the Catamounts.
Talk about compounding mistakes. You see Sinceri run into the kicker here. That's going to draw the 15-yard penalty. But then on the other end of the field, Christian Jones lets the ball go over his head, then tries to field it before dropping it. Jones very fortunate to be able to. Actually, Jones didn't get the football back. Western Carolina looks like they've recovered the fumble.
It's Devin Roberts who recovered it, the long snapper.
Happened on the other
Personal
side of
foul,
the field.
Roughing the kicker, number 3 of the receiving team. That penalty's declined. Play results in a first down.
I thought Christian Jones was able to secure the football there, but a big turnover, the first one of the afternoon, has Western Carolina set up in their first real scoring opportunity today.
Biggest break of the day and the best field position of the day for the Catamounts. Interesting alignment here for the Catamounts. Looks like a little Steve Spurrier formation. Chris, I know you saw that lineup several times in Florida.
We actually used that for the first time against Alabama in the SEC championship game in 1994, the old Emory and Henry formation where you switch out your tackles wide and spread the defense out.
Timeout on the field, 30 seconds remaining, first half. Alabama on top, Western Carolina threatening here in Tuscaloosa. "30 seconds remaining in the first half. Alabama leads Western Carolina 35-0. Eddie Lacy has been the story of half number 1.
Yeah, Eddie Lacy having a big afternoon for Alabama. Got the first touchdown of the day. Then you see him lowering the shoulder in the secondary to get his second. And then a few minutes ago, the third touchdown here in the first half. Not so sure we'll see him in the second half of this football game today.
On 2nd and 9, little razzle-dazzle.
That's a loose ball.
That's a loose football picked up by Alabama. No penalty flags and a clear path to the end zone for Dion Blue. 64 yards.
Mike, the first scoring opportunity of the day for Western Carolina turns into a touchdown as they try to throw it back to the backup quarterback, Eddie Sullivan. That is a lateral, and alertly, Dion Blue picks the ball up, and a convoy of Alabama defenders lead him into the end zone.
The extra point knocked through by Shelley. And what was easily the best scoring opportunity of the day for Western Carolina turns into 7 points the other way for Alabama.
The play was actually made by Adrian Hubbard, who did a good job of staying at home to cover Eddie Sullivan. The throw back to him was in fact a lateral, and as we talked about earlier, it's Dion Blue who alertly identifies that ball as being live, scoops it, and scores.
Dion Blue has actually been battling a shoulder injury, the junior hometown product. Both their starting corners, both Blue and Milner, have been battling shoulder injuries, but shoulder looked pretty good on that run.
Well, we talked about how thin that secondary was anyway. Milner and Blue, as you mentioned, with the shoulder injuries. Fulton got dinged up last week, so very thin out there as it is, but those guys have both already made some big plays today for Alabama's defense.
Now, not surprisingly, it's been a first half dominated by the Crimson Tide, 42-0. Eddie Lacy already with 3 touchdowns. A.J. McCarron has not played in the last few minutes of this ball game. It was the Blake Sims drive for Alabama last time out. And Western Carolina just simply has not been able to move the football against a very motivated Alabama defense today. McCoy buried at the 10.
Take a look at the touchdown here again. Eddie Sullivan couldn't quite corral that lateral back from his running back. And easily getting into the end zone is Dion Blue. As I mentioned, a convoy of blockers there as the Alabama defense being opportunistic with their first scoring opportunity of the day.
Should be the final play of the half. Michael Vaughn picks up 3. But half number 1 dominated by the men in crimson. 42-0. The Crimson Tide on top of the Catamounts at the end of half number 1. A first half dominated by the Crimson Tide of Alabama, 42-0 here at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. Mike Morgan alongside Chris Doring. And Chris, the question going into this game, obviously, would Alabama come out a little bit flat, a little bit of a hangover from last week? The answer, a resounding no.
Well, I think we saw in the meetings yesterday, they were going to focus on themselves. It had nothing to do with the opponent. And so far in this first half, they've been perfect execution-wise.
Alabama dominating on the scoreboard, and as you would imagine, dominating statistically as well. Rushing the football, passing the football, you name it, as we take a look at our first half stats brought to you by Crystal. Nothing like it. Eddie Lacy with 99 yards and 3 touchdowns. Alabama overall 192 yards on the ground, averaging over 12 yards a play. Pretty insane number there. And again, Western Carolina offensively just couldn't get anything going against that Alabama defense.
A very tough task for both sides of the ball for Western Carolina. But again, if you're Alabama, if you're Nick Saban, you got to be happy with what you've seen in just about all 3 phases. The only mistake coming on that last punt before the half when Sinceri roughed the punter and Christian Jones fumbled the kick, but the defense ended up bailing him out and ultimately scored the final touchdown of the half.
Returnable for the Catamounts. Warren. And wrestled down at the 16-yard line. Football fans, enjoy the upcoming bowl season. The BBVA Compass Bowl will take place in Birmingham, Alabama on January the 5th. For more information, visit bbvacompassbowl.com today. So another look at the Catamounts offense, which has struggled mightily today. Troy Mitchell, the freshman quarterback who you see there, has done a lot of running but not a whole lot of throwing. In addition to the talent differential, they're missing 2 of their top receivers, 1 to injury and 1 to suspension. Ramsey will be the lone back on first down and a penalty flag. Didn't see many of them in the first half.
There, excuse me, didn't mean to step on you here.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Can't get your right personnel in the first play of the second half. That's never a good sign for a team going into the second half already down 42-0.
If you're Mark Spear and company, you just have to wipe the memory of the first 30 minutes of this game out. Try to get something positive that you can build on or at least take away from this trip to Tuscaloosa. They actually bust here about 6 hours. Mitchell picks up 3.
I think Coach Spear obviously knew they were in for a tough task. When we spoke to him this week, he mentioned kind of like what Nick Saban said. It's not really about who we're playing. We're just trying to go out and execute, trying to get better, trying to do the things that we can do to control the outcome and how we play. But so far today, they've been overmatched, overpowered, and outclassed by this Alabama team.
Assistant Coach of the Year back in 2009, and that's pretty much his goal, not to be like Alabama, but to be like the school he came from, Appalachian State, as the pass goes through the fingertips of Darius Ramsey, incomplete.
Yeah, Appalachian State, really the class of that Southern Conference. As we take a look at the last play, Mitchell tried to get the ball to his back out of the backfield, but Ramsey not able to hang on to it, and that'll force another long third down opportunity. But Appalachian State, you look at what they've been able to accomplish. Coach Spear wants to emulate that. He was from Appalachian State most recently. All his staff offensively was from there, and they feel like they have an opportunity to recruit from that area around Western Carolina University and really create a solid core of players to improve that program.
3rd and 12. Pass is caught by Ramsey, but 6 yards far shy of the marker. And the Catamounts will punt it away as we take another look at the BCS standings. And again, it all starts with those top 3. If you're an SEC fan, you're a fan of Alabama, you're a fan of Georgia, you've got to see 2 of those teams lose. And when you see the rest of the schedule for all 3 of those teams, it is conceivable. This is not an impossible situation.
No, I mean, Alabama has no further to look back than last season when they lost that disappointing game to LSU. Obviously didn't even get a chance to play for the conference championship, but ultimately won the national title. Strange things happen in November when the pressure and the lights get to those undefeated teams. I guarantee we're going to see 1 or 2 of those teams lose before the end of the year.
Well, plenty of big plays in the first half for Alabama, and it all started with A.J. McCarron.
Yeah, you saw the play-action fake there to Eddie Lacy, hitting a wide-open Amari Cooper, got them down to the 1-yard line and set up Lacy for his first touchdown of the afternoon. But really the difference in this game is the physicality, as Alabama's been able to pick up big chunks of yardage on the ground. Lacy scoring his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon here. And then defensively, they got into the scoring act as well as Troy Mitchell tried to throw back to Eddie Sullivan. That play ruled a lateral, and Deion Blue able to pick it up for a touchdown.
Little razzle-dazzle on the first play of the drive. Brent Callaway, one of the backup running backs on the carry. We'll see plenty of backups, no doubt, in this second half. Alabama might clear out the roster by the time this one's over with. Sims still in the game at quarterback. Fires it. Incomplete.
No whistle.
I didn't hear a whistle, but I do think that ball was forward. And they do call it an incomplete pass. As we send it back down to the field and check in with Joe Montgomery.
Well, Mike, you just mentioned Alabama clearing out their roster, and that's probably exactly what they're going to do. Alabama's going to put in their twos, or their backups, as they call them. They don't get a lot of game experience in practice, so Coach Saban wants to make sure that his backups get that game experience, and also they do not want to take any risks of injuring their starters with this kind of a lead.
And you can certainly not blame Nick Saban for that. They've had plenty of injuries already on offense as Sims dances out of the pocket, lunges toward the marker. It'll be close, and I think they gave him a good spot. He was being chased down by Trevor Taylor, the free safety.
Sims has been impressive so far in what we've seen this afternoon. As you check him survey the field, nothing really there for him, and able to scramble and pick up the first down. But early on, he came right off the bench, had some nice throws, including a long completion on a comeback down the sideline to Shin, the tight end. Really like the way this backup quarterback is managing this Alabama offense.
Handoff up the middle to Callaway. Now, I mentioned some of the injuries this offense has had. The last time we were here, Bama was playing Western Kentucky. In that game, Jalston Fowler, the fullback, went down for the year. They lost to Andrew White, the wide receiver, a few weeks later, as well as running back D. Hart. Those are three guys that played a lot of snaps for Alabama, and they're all done for the season.
The great part about it, though, is when you're Alabama, you have good backups behind those players, and they're able to step up and fill in very well. But you're right. I think the biggest loss with Jalston Fowler, what he does in kind of a do-it-all role for this Alabama offense.
Not much doing on second down. John McBeth, the tackle, the defensive end, number 94.
Nice job here by the freshman, John McBeth, as you mentioned. Played the zone read well. Sims probably should have given the ball to his running back. But the true freshman out of Greensboro, McBeth, able to make the stop and force a third down for Alabama, something we didn't see much of in the first half.
Yeah, and Alabama was perfect. 4 of 4 on third down. Blitz. Look at the moves by Sims. Wow, down to the 32-yard line. Harris stopped him, but not before a 14-yard gain.
A great presence of mind by the young quarterback here to step up. There's nothing good to run out the back of the pocket. When you get pressure, you got to step up. And when Sims saw open ground, he wasn't looking for the first down. He was looking to score. Western Carolina able to bring him down, but not before they set up Alabama with another first down.
Today's First and 10 line brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Another give to Callaway as he continues to get into the action here. A 7-yard pickup. John McBeth on another tackle. They'll be running behind some backups on the offensive line. That starting 5, many consider the top offensive line in all of college football. And many of them will be back. 8th play of the drive for Alabama. Ben Howell ripped down from behind.
Nice job by Western Carolina's front 4. As the big defensive tackle Eric Bamford gets his paw on the back of the shoulder pads, able to wrestle the ball carrier to the ground. Don't think just because they got the backups in that Nick Saban's not expecting a lot here. Very demanding of everybody on this roster, expects them to play the way they're coached.
Another third down. This is 3rd and 6. Sims still on his feet and finally knocked out of bounds at the 5-yard line by Martinez. Well, he will snap some ankles in two with those moves.
Sims, again, this is a called pass, but nothing there. Steps up the middle again, is very elusive. Picks up a couple of nice blocks on the edge to allow him to get some extra yardage. But you got to be happy about the future, potentially with both of your backup quarterbacks. We haven't seen Ely yet today, but Blake Sims has been fantastic to this point.
63 yards rushing for Sims, who takes it here and dives to the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. Made it look easy on that drive.
Yeah, that was pretty much bang, bang, bang right down the field. The key, a couple of those third down scrambles. This time, the zone read, and Sims decides to keep the ball for himself. Puts up the first touchdown of the second half for Alabama.
Shelley came in a perfect 46 for 46 on extra points. Trying to make it 53 out of 53 on the year.
Offside, defense, 96. Penalties decline.
McCarron out of the game for good. Sunseri now on the hold. And Shelley remains perfect. 10-play drive, 61 yards. A drive that belonged to the sophomore out of Gainesville, Georgia, number 6, Blake Sims. Today's SEC Network game is brought to you by the all-new redesigned 2013 Chevrolet Malibu. NFL Mobile from Verizon, built to bring you the game. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports. And by the 7th annual Old Spice Classic in sunny Orlando, Florida. Well, Alabama has made it look easy so far today. 49-0 our score here in the third quarter. Some of the beautiful sights on the campus here in Tuscaloosa, including the Bear, Paul Bryant. As you look at the Alabama scoring drive, 10 plays, 61 yards, 5 minutes, 44 seconds off the clock. As it's time now for our SEC Trivia Challenge, brought to you by Regions Bank. I like this one. Name the 6 SEC schools who were founding members of the Southern Conference back in 1921. Of course, the Southern Conference, where the Catamounts hail from, and one of the better conferences at the FCS level. And if you go back in time, a number of SEC schools have roots in the Southern Conference.
Yeah, I actually cheated. I saw the answer to this one already, so I'm not going to try to act like I know it. But some pretty impressive teams over the years that have played in that Southern Conference, and obviously the SEC has become the cream of the crop in college football.
A lesser man would have been dishonest about that, Chris. I admire you for not taking the credit. Backing up in the end zone is Martinez, and he takes an knee. Well, let's pay it off. Which SEC schools were charter members of the Southern Conference back in 1921? Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Tennessee, nearly half the league. And of course, you see some of the other ones at the bottom of the screen there who joined later on in 1922. Fans, be sure to visit the region's tent in 2 weeks at the SEC Championship in Atlanta for their SEC Trivia Challenge event. Regions Bank, the official bank of the SEC. Eddie Sullivan now in at quarterback for Western Carolina. Launching on the very first play, and misses Alexander. We talked about Alabama. Played in the Southern Conference from 1921 to 1932. And when they did join the SEC in 1933, won the first ever Southeastern Conference championship. You see some of the things they were able to accomplish in the Southern Conference. And I'll be honest with you, I had a feeling Alabama won the first one, but it was confirmed yesterday by our trip to the Bear Bryant Museum.
Really enjoyed having an opportunity to go to the Bear Bryant Museum. You talk about history. There's not a whole lot of college football programs that have the history that Alabama does, and they do a great job of kind of chronicling all of that history at the Bear Bryant Museum. If you come to Tuscaloosa, it's a must-see.
At $2, and you'll get a chance to see an unbelievable amount of history. They've done a tremendous job putting that together. Alabama subbing in several of the backups right now on defense, including freshman number 24 Geno Smith in the secondary. And a whistle and a penalty flag here on first down.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense number 4. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's our referee, Matt Austin. And a penalty on Jacoby Mitchell.
Jacoby Mitchell, that's about the first time we've called his name today. He's the leading receiver for this Western Carolina offense, but unfortunately they haven't been able to get the ball to him an awful lot today. I thought he'd be a much bigger factor than what we've seen him involved to this point.
Sullivan down the sideline, incomplete. Intended for Alexander. Football fans, enjoy the upcoming bowl season. The Beef O'Brady's Bowl will take place in St. Petersburg, Florida on December the 21st. For more information, visit beefobradysbowl.com today. And there's certainly worse places to be in late December than beautiful St. Pete. He might be in St. Pete. You never know where Santa's going to be around that time of year.
He's got a summer beard. He hadn't really developed that full white one yet, so little preseason exhibition beard for Santa.
Bama dials up the blitz as the pass falls incomplete near the feet of Darius Ramsey. Eddie Sullivan, the numbers on the season. They've played both quarterbacks. He's the sophomore out of Boca Raton, Florida. The starter is Troy Mitchell, a freshman out of Houston. That's one thing Coach Mark Spear told us. You know, we're extremely young. We got a whole new recruiting class, and the MO for Western Carolina is going to be to recruit the Carolinas. Yeah. Right now they got a bunch of kids from all over the place. He wants to focus, be more regional in the recruiting.
They signed 16 guys this year in their first year at Western Carolina. 12 of those guys have already played. Next year they expect to play or sign 22. So they're going to be a young team next year again, but trying to build something down the road with a couple new recruiting classes.
Another incomplete pass on 3rd and long, intended for their leading receiver, Jacoby Mitchell. But a penalty flag on the play.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 57 defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's on DJ Petway, one of the backup defensive linemen.
Take a look there as Sullivan gets knocked down by a couple Tide defenders. The call actually went, as you mentioned, Mike, to DJ Petway, but I think it could have been called on a number of Alabama defenders there.
Yeah, it looked like Square might have been on the hit as well. And you saw the shot of Nick Saban. The score might be 49-0. Nick Saban has very little tolerance right now for mistakes, particularly from a defense that has been humbled a bit the last couple of weeks. Game getting a little sloppy now.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
I mentioned what's happened the last 2 weeks. Look at what happened the first 8 games. I mean, there was no defense doing any better than Alabama. Just 203 yards 23 turnovers forced the last 2 weeks. Over 426 yards a game. And the one that really bothered Nick Saban and Kirby Smart when we talked to him, the fact that they have not forced a turnover.
Yeah, I don't think that that's something you can look back in a long time and see teams put up back-to-back 400-yard performances against Alabama's defense, much less not being able to force those turnovers. That's something they pride themselves on, is that turnover margin, protecting it offensively and taking it away defensively, but really have not created the opportunities that they're used to in forcing those turnovers. I think the other numbers that are very interesting to me, third downs, this Alabama defense was miserable the last couple weeks. They gave up 55% of those opportunities to LSU and A&M. And then even more troubling, they allowed the opposition to score 5 touchdowns in 7 red zone attempts. You talk to Kirby Smart, he was very disappointed in the fact that they weren't able to get off the field down there. It's a 4-point differential when you can force that field goal versus allowing them to score a touchdown.
James on the reception on second down. One of the longest catches of the game for the Catamounts, 29 yards.
Take a look here at the big play through the air. As trust me, James ran a nice route, able to catch the ball and get Western Carolina set up again. We got down this part of the field right before the half, but ended up turning it over, and Deion Blue scooped it and scored. We'll see if Western Carolina can stick it in here.
Nothing doing for Ramsey.
How about Brandon Ivory there with the penetration, the backup nose guard, getting in the Western Carolina backfield. Take a look at the handoff to Ramsey, and nothing doing as multiple players up front for Alabama get in on the tackle.
If you're Western Carolina at this point, you'd love to just get on the scoreboard.
Small victories, my friend.
That's right. Bama blitzing. Catamounts going the wrong way. Nico Johnson ball hawking, a loss of 3 on the play. That's one of the leaders of this team, Nico Johnson.
Yeah, nice job by Nico coming in untouched and running the play down from the backside. He's a much better run defender than he is cover guy at the linebacker spot. A lot of times you see C.J. Mosley in there when they go to their nickel and dime situations. But here Nico Johnson having an opportunity in the second half to get a chance to play in their 4-down situation.
Johnson very outspoken about the defense the last 2 games. Says simply, we have not been ourselves. Too many mental errors. 3rd down and 16. Look out. Pressure. Breaks it. Dives, and he might have the first down. A terrific play by Eddie Sullivan. It'll depend on the spot.
It's going to be just short there, but a nice effort nonetheless by Eddie Sullivan. We think of Troy Mitchell maybe as being the more athletic quarterback on this roster, but Eddie Sullivan stepped up, made a valiant effort to get to the first down marker.
4th down and a foot. I don't think so. Johnson got it. Didn't look like he was able to push the pile. And the linesman already signaling Alabama football. Now you can't blame Western Carolina for trying, but just no surge.
No, credit to Coach Spear for going for it there. Running the ball up the middle, very difficult against this Alabama defense. Great push up the middle, stops the short, and turns the ball over to Alabama.
Dari, thanks. Crazy year in the ACC. Still trying to figure out who's going to play in that ACC championship game. Georgia Tech with a big ball game against the Duke Blue Devils, and what's going to happen with Miami is still a question mark. On first down, Bama to the ground, Brent Callaway. As we look at our game summary brought to you by Woodman of the World. A.J. McCarron didn't play much. Eddie Lacy dominated when he was in there. And again, the big play that really cinched it for Alabama. Dion Blue, 57-yard fumble return for a touchdown.
Yeah, pretty much whatever Alabama has tried today has worked, and conversely, not a lot going right for Western Carolina, but credit to the focus level of Alabama on all three phases. They've done a good job of executing their assignments. And some backup guys getting some much-deserved playing time here in the third quarter.
Nice run by Callaway. 8 yards. Harris racks up another tackle. Now, one thing we could tell from talking to players and coaches this week here in Tuscaloosa, there was not going to be an issue of focus or motivation for this game. I don't think there'll be an issue the rest of the year, quite frankly.
Well, that goes back to what Nick Saban teaches. It's all about the process. Everybody makes a lot to do about it, but it really is very simple. Don't focus on the goal, focus on the journey, focus on the little things, and everything else falls into place. That's something they lost sight of the last couple weeks as they got a little bit too involved with being #1 and being 9-0 and trying to maintain.
Howell on the carry. Williams on the tackle as quarter number 3 comes to a close. Bama on top, 49-0.
Mike, you might have to do my post game because I might have a heart attack.
My goodness. Go for it, Jill. Wow.
Got the paddles ready. Get the paddle clear. Clear.
You have to check the cholesterol levels of one Joe Montgomery very soon. Pass caught by Shin. All right, Joe, you took one bite. How are you holding up?
I think I can eat it. Dorian eats a lot, but I think I can do this.
I don't know if your metabolism or anybody's metabolism is as high as Doring's. Chris Doring, you're still at your playing weight, aren't you?
I'm right about the same weight that I played at in the NFL. I was actually a lot lighter in college, but got up to about 205 in the NFL. Try to maintain it right about the 2 bill mark now. I'm certainly not going to eat any of that right there, though. I'm a turkey bacon guy, Mike.
I can do 14 slices of bacon, one at a time. But
you could eat 14 slices in one sitting?
I've done it. It's not something I'm proud of, mind you, but I have done it. Maybe we'll take a shot at the burger tonight. Deep ball on the way from Sims and almost intercepted. Intended for the freshman Cyrus Jones. All right, Chris, break this down. This is Montgomery.
All right, pause it right there. Pause it right there. Look at that mouth. Look at the circumference of the mouth there. All right. Good job of fitting that in. I like the way that she fully engulfs the bacon there. That had to be at least 12 of the 14 slices she was able to take a bite out of.
I had scary memories of the movie Jaws from back in the day.
She had much prettier teeth than Jaws did.
Yes,
though, right?
absolutely. Fair catch at the 21 by Alexander, and the Catamounts will take over. And to our affiliates out there, this will be break number 18 as we continue from Tuscaloosa in just a moment. Loyal fans, brought to you by Hyundai. Go online and show your loyalty to your school at HyundaiShowYourLoyalty.com. Inside, Bryant-Denny Stadium seats over 100,000. Outside, plenty of fans. They know how to tailgate here in the Southeast. Beautiful day weather-wise. Fans enjoying their Crimson Tide, leading this one 49-0. First and 10, Western Carolina at the 21. Sullivan stays in at quarterback for the Catamounts. Western Carolina has made it to the red zone one time today. Went for it on 4th down and about a foot. Unable to capitalize. They turned it over on downs. That's really been the best scoring opportunity today for that man, Mark Spear, and his Western Carolina program.
Mike, we saw our first 3rd down that Alabama didn't convert, and subsequently a first punt of the day. So all the way to the fourth quarter before we saw Alabama not successfully in their drive with a touchdown.
Second and 9. And the throw is high for Jacoby Mitchell. Time now for the C-Spire conference call. Let's take a look at the SEC standings. We've talked about how it stacks up in the West. Again, Alabama in the driver's seat, barring an upset to the Auburn Tigers. A couple things would have to happen for Alabama to not play in the championship game in Atlanta. Georgia Bulldogs, we know they're going to Atlanta. That's already been nailed down. Florida, by virtue of the tiebreaker, finishes second in the Eastern Division. The Gamecocks, another solid season under head coach Steve Spurrier, but again, they had to play Florida and LSU both on the road, and they lost both ball games. A penalty flag before the snap.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
All of a sudden, Western Carolina having problems getting the ball snapped in time.
Big day in the SEC against FCS opponents, as not all SEC teams having their way with their FCS brethren today the way that Alabama is. Georgia was struggling earlier. Florida was struggling earlier. South Carolina having a hard time with Wofford.
Third down and long. And Sullivan just gets rid of it. Heavy pressure there by number 90, Quentin Dial. So Alabama will get it back, leading it by 7 touchdowns.
True freshman Cyrus Jones back to return the punt. Now he's come in for Christian Jones, and I mentioned before, Cyrus has had an opportunity to nearly break a couple. We'll see if he can get a big return here for Alabama.
Jones tries to flag it down, and it goes out of bounds near the 35. 49-0 our score for all our affiliates. This will be break number 20 as we return from Tuscaloosa in just a moment. Today's SEC Network game is brought to you by BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. Dr. Pepper, tell the world what makes you one of a kind with the I'm a hashtag on Twitter. And by Hyundai. Go online and show your loyalty to your school at HyundaiShowYourLoyalty.com. $49-0. Welcome back. Bryant-Denny Stadium with Chris Doering and Joe Montgomery. I'm Mike Morgan. Great to be with you here from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The Crimson Tide on their way to their 10th win of the year. Today's First and 10 line is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Sims on a rollout. On target. And it's Jones making the catch. Hauling it in around the 50, a 17-yard gain.
There you see again the bootleg that is such a staple in this offense. Credit to Sims. He's got the flat receiver wide open, but takes Jones down the field, and good job by the true freshman of getting his feet in bounds, taking the hit and trying to get upfield for some extra yardage.
One thing about this Alabama receiving corps, and offensive coordinator Doug Nussmeier pointed this out to us yesterday, they're really young. I mean, they're chock full of freshmen and sophomores. Just about everybody you see playing wideout for Bama will be back next year. Hole closed quickly behind the left side as Howell gets knocked down by Harris.
It's really kind of an interesting blend of offensive players here. You got the elder guys in Barrett Jones, Warmack, who we talked to yesterday. You got the juniors like McCarron and Lacey, and then the big freshman contributors like Yeldon, and we talked earlier about Amari Cooper. They're going to be very good here in the future. Doug Nussmeier in his first season at Alabama, but certainly inherited some nice players and really did a good job of adapting to the offense that Alabama was used to. Rather than asking 35 guys to change over the terminology that they're used to, Doug Nussmeier came in and indoctrinated himself into the Alabama offense that was already existing. You can see him there on the left of your screen, and really a very knowledgeable football mind, a guy that very engaging when you have a chance to sit down with him and talk football.
Yeah, actually played quarterback at Idaho, and then later on in the NFL with the Saints and the Colts. Played a little bit in the Canadian Football League, and now in his 12th year of coaching in college. Sims. Incomplete. Intended for one of the backup tight ends, Harrison Jones. It's hard not to come away impressed when you talk to these coaches, and every time we're out here we get a chance to sit down with Nick Saban, Doug Nussmeier, and of course Kirby Smart. You listen to these guys for a while and you realize there's not just a lot of talent here at Alabama. They are very well coached.
I like the way that they approach the recruiting process. They go out and get guys that are not only good players, but good people that they feel like are going to fit in well to the system at Alabama, fit in well to the locker room here at Alabama. And then once they're on campus, they're coached hard, whether it be on the football field or even in personal development. A lot of money spent in trying to make these players good citizens off the field, and it certainly has worked with multiple championships and guys that really don't get in trouble much.
Just the second punt of the day for Alabama. Catamounts back on offense when we return. Affiliates, this will be break number 21. Tuscaloosa, the Alabama Crimson Tide leading Western Carolina 49-0 with 9:12 to play. This was yesterday, getting ready for a walkthrough, and you know, Chris, you could only imagine these young men from the Southern Conference, Coley, North Carolina, they don't get a chance to go to stadiums that seat over 100,000 fans very often.
No, this is a great treat. One of the reasons that they like to do these types of games and play in these types of environments is to expose their kids to what they see on TV. They realize, as we talked to Coach Spear, he mentioned every kid thinks that they're good enough to play at the highest level. But when they get a first-hand opportunity to play in games like this and understand the coaching that these Alabama players receive and just how good they are, really gives them a perspective about the top level of college football.
No matter what happens here today on the scoreboard, they can always say we took on the defending national champions of the FBS.
Held them to 49. Held them to the 50 mark. To this point.
There's still 8.5 to play. True. Let's see. Now that won't help matters. Ramsey with the drop. We'd like to recognize our friends at Allstate for their charitable contributions across the country. Since 2005, Allstate has donated more than $2.9 million through the Good Hands Field Goal Net program to benefit University General Scholarship Funds. Penalty flag on the play.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
We'll back them up 5. Second down and long. Next up for Alabama, of course, will be the Auburn Tigers. It's going to be weird to see a game, an Iron Bowl, where one school was favored so heavily over another. I mean, they're talking about the point spread and that one being perhaps over 30. It's just so strange to see that in that rivalry. Nice run on second down by Sean Warren as he rips off 6.
Auburn up 21-0 at the half against Alabama A&M. Play a little different Alabama team next week in the Crimson Tide. But you're right, that point spread differential, especially considering just 2 years ago, it was Auburn that was holding up the Crystal Trophy there. And that program has really descended into the depths of the SEC at this point in time. And a lot of people feel like Gene Chizik may not have an opportunity to coach at Auburn after that Iron Bowl game next week.
And just how amazing is that 2 years off a national championship and you have that discussion going on. Derek Dooley at Tennessee, a lot of talk there. 3rd and short, nice run by Michael Vaughn. That'll move the chains.
You mentioned Derek Dooley at Tennessee, Gene Chizik at Auburn. Neither of those programs, hard to believe, have won an SEC ball game this year. As we take a look at the last play, nice job by Michael Vaughn getting to the outside and picking up a first down. But really, you look at the strength of the SEC, very, very good at the top, but at the bottom there, Kentucky, another team that has yet to win an SEC ball game.
Of course, they've already announced this will be Joker Phillips last year. Likely a change in Arkansas. Contact and no penalty flag. So you'll have a change in Lexington, potentially Arkansas, and then we'll just have to wait and see on Tennessee and Auburn. But it just goes to show you, when you take a head coaching job in the Southeastern Conference, there's a lot of good that comes along with that, financially, facilities, talent. But my goodness, that seat can get hot in a hurry.
Oh, yeah, it is high expectation level city here in the SEC. And unfortunately for some of these coaches, they don't come in and have the success that you think they're going to have when they initially get hired.
Sullivan races toward the marker and picks up 13 for a first down. Western Carolina trying to get some points on the board here in the final 6:14.
You got the sense yesterday when we talked to Coach Spear, this is not a game that he certainly relished, and I don't think he had any visions that they were going to be ready to pull the upset like his team did, when he was at Appalachian State against Michigan in 2007. But at the same time, this is a necessary evil for them. Not only do they come and expose their kids to this atmosphere, but it's a paycheck game for them, an opportunity to help build the facilities that they need to compete at the Southern Conference level.
And another first down as Alexander will move the chains for the Catamounts. Let's check in with Jill.
Well, Mike, you heard Coach Saban say earlier he took responsibility for not having his team ready to go to be successful against A&M. And yesterday I asked him what he could do better as a coach. And he told me he could teach them better. He could motivate them better. And definitely the main thing is to keep their focus on the process that is the culture of this Alabama football.
Well, the process has been a pretty good one for Nick Saban. 3 national championships, 1 at LSU and 2 at Alabama. Penalty flag on the play as the pass falls short of the intended target. Deja Alexander. Matt Austin is our referee.
Personal foul, shot block, 52 offense, 15-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's on Murray, the starting center. To go back to Coach Spear for a moment. My favorite answer to what he said. First question we asked him, how did this game get scheduled? He said, well, I took the job in December. It was already on the schedule and it was too late to back out. He was not exactly relishing the opportunity. They've got a lot of work to do within their own conference.
The good thing for them, this is their last game of the season. It's not like they have to go back into conference play afterwards, which can be very difficult playing against a more physical opponent like Alabama.
Sullivan picks up a couple. We've seen the freshman Mitchell and Sullivan, the sophomore, might have a good battle at quarterback for next season. 8th play of the drive coming up for Western Carolina. Well, today that man Eddie Lacy, our Academy Sports and Outdoors Player of the Game, exhibited the right stuff, and he is our player of the game, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low prices every day. 99 yards, 3 touchdowns. Third 3-touchdown game this season for Eddie Lacy.
All in the first half, mind you. He didn't get a chance to add to those statistics in the second half, but a lot of credit to the offensive line who opened up some gaping holes for him today to run through.
Third down in Birmingham. And almost a great catch, juggled by Alexander before taking a lick. Silv and Clinton Dix on the coverage, and the Catamounts will punt it away for perhaps the final time.
Eddie Sullivan's targeted his receiver Alexander quite a bit today. Had an opportunity to hit a couple of those hole shots against the cover 2 zone, but haven't been able to hook up on an awful lot of them. A lot of credit to the corners and the safeties for being able to shut that open spot down on the defense quickly.
This might be one of the shortest punts you ever see. That is a 5-yard punt, folks. A 5-yard punt with no return. 2:57 on the clock. Alabama leads it 49-0. Our score, Alabama 49, Western Carolina 0, as we take a look at our Good Hands play of the day, brought to you by Allstate.
Right before halftime, the best scoring opportunity for Western Carolina. They tried to go with a little razzle-dazzle play, but didn't quite execute well. And Dion Blue able to scoop the ball and take it to the house for the Tide's final touchdown of the first half. There you see Dion Blue. We talked about him earlier in the half, having that banged-up shoulder. Didn't look like it affected him much today, as both he and Dee Milner had outstanding afternoons.
Healy in at quarterback for Alabama as he hands off to Callaway. There you get a look at Healy, the freshman out of Tampa, Florida. He's only thrown 4 passes this year. McCarron, a junior, Sims, a sophomore, and Healy, the redshirt freshman. Big hole left side. First down and more for Callaway as he rips off 11.
It's an important time for a lot of these backup players that are getting an opportunity to play here. These guys practice just like everybody else. They put a lot of effort forth in terms of giving good looks in a lot of cases on scout team to the starting offense and starting defense. So to get a chance to get in here, get some meaningful time in a game and put some statistics together, something that these guys truly relish at this point in the season.
Callaway 7 carries for 52 yards off the bench. First down, Alabama. Straight ahead running by Ben Howell. Sticks his nose in the pile and pushes it forward for 7. You're not going to find a team in college football more physical than Alabama. That's one of the things they told us as well when it comes to recruiting. You know, everybody wants size and speed, but if it comes down where one guy's a little bit quicker and one guy's a little bit bigger, they're going to go for the bigger guy more times than not.
Yeah, they like to play with a little bit more physicality on both sides of the offensive line, where some SEC schools prefer to go with speed and quickness. It's worked well for Alabama. Another carry there by Ben Howell. Had an opportunity to read a great story about him, a walk-on from just outside of Tuscaloosa, a guy that has really appreciated the opportunity to wear the crimson and white, grew up loving this program, had a picture of Bryant-Denny Stadium on his wall as a kid, and pointed to this opportunity when he got a chance to get to high school, or got a chance to get to college after high school to play for this school, and really has taken a lot of pride in two national championship rings he's won here since his time in Tuscaloosa.
Victory formation for Alabama as the Crimson Tide will run out the clock. Alabama improving to 10-1, winning it 49-0. When we come back, we'll hear from head coach Nick Saban. 49-0, your final score from Tuscaloosa. The Tide rolls over the Catamounts of Western Carolina. Your final score 49-0 here from Bryant-Denny Stadium. And standing by with head coach Nick Saban is our own Jill Montgomery.
Coach, I got to ask you, how do you think your team responded today?
Well, I think we played well. You know, we got to play a lot of players, but, you know, Western Carolina was a little bit outmanned, but at least our guys did what they were supposed to do, which is all you can ask of them.
Yesterday, you shared a great quote with me that Chuck Pagano said about getting caught up in circumstances or focusing on your vision. Moving forward, what's the vision of your team?
Well, you know, we got opportunity to play maybe 3 games. We got to play well next week. We got to prove something in the SEC. We got a big rivalry game for us, and records don't mean much in that game. So, you know, maybe we get in the SEC championship game and see what happens.
Thanks so much for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you much, Jill. Again, the final score 49, Alabama, Western Carolina, 0. We'll wrap things up from Tuscaloosa when we return.